Florida is typically thought of as being a vacation destination for families heading to Disney World. Epcot and Universal Florida, as well as spring breakers flocking to the beaches all along the Gulf and Atlantic coasts. Plus, of course, we can't forget the snowbirds who make their way down and sometimes never leave. When we think of Florida, aside from the raging home and gas prices, we typically have happy thoughts. Well, not so fast. Who knew how many serial killers committed their crimes in Florida? So grab your popcorn and buckle up as we take you on a tour of the darkest corners of Florida and showcase the cunning, brutality, and sheer evil of some of its most infamous residents. These individuals left a lasting impact on the city and its people, and their stories will leave you on the edge of your seat. But before we get started, please make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified about our amazing upcoming informative videos. First on our countdown at number 10, the Flat Tire Murderer. From February 1975 to July 1975, 5 young women and teenage girls were killed in South Florida, leading police to suspect the murders were the work of a single perpetrator. The killings were dubbed the Flat Tire Murders because the authorities believed the killer deflated the tires of his victims' vehicles, allowing him to offer his help when they realized they were stranded in a commercial parking lot. Number 9. Eddie Lee Mosley. Eddie Lee Mosley was a notorious American criminal who terrorized Florida in the late 20th century. Convicted of killing 8 elderly women, he is suspected of having committed numerous other heinous crimes. Mosley preyed on the vulnerable, using their trust to gain access to their homes. He was known for his brutal attacks, which included sexual assault and mutilation, and his shocking lack of remorse. Despite his claims of innocence, Mosley spent the rest of his life in a Florida prison before his death in 1996. Number 8. Christine Falling. Christine Falling was a notorious American serial killer active in the 1980s. She was convicted of killing 3 elderly women in Florida and is suspected of killing several more. Falling was known for her calm demeanor and lack of remorse, which earned her the nickname Barefoot Murderess. At the age of 17, she was one of the youngest female serial killers in American history. Despite her young age, Falling's crimes shocked the public and garnered significant media attention. Number 7. Oscar Ray Bolin. Oscar Ray Bolin was a notorious American criminal active in the late 20th century. He was found guilty of 3 brutal murders in Florida and sentenced to death. Bolin had a pattern of abducting women, sexually assaulting them, and taking their lives. Despite multiple trials and appeals, he ultimately faced his sentence through lethal injection in 2016. Bolin's crimes gained significant media attention and remain one of the most infamous serial killer cases in Florida's history. Number 6. Bobby Joe Long. Bobby Joe Long was an American serial killer active in the 1980s. He was convicted of killing 10 women in Florida and is believed to have committed many more. Long targeted young women and used his charm and good looks to lure his victims into his vehicle. He was known for his pattern of sexual assault and murder, which included binding and torturing his victims. He was eventually arrested, tried, and sentenced to death in Florida. Bobby Joe Long's case received widespread media attention and is widely regarded as one of the most notorious serial killer cases in Florida's history. Number 5. Aileen Wuornos. Aileen Wuornos was an American serial killer active in the late 1980s and early 1990s. She was convicted of killing 7 men in Florida, all of whom were murdered while she was working as a prostitute. Wuornos claimed that the killings were acts of self-defense, but her claims were not accepted by the court. She was sentenced to death and was executed by lethal injection in 2002. Wuornos' case received widespread media attention and was the subject of several books, documentaries, and a movie, Monster, which was released in 2003. Wuornos' case continues to generate public interest and is widely regarded as one of the most notorious serial killer cases in American history. Number 4. Gerard John Schaefer. Gerard John Schaefer was an American serial killer active in the 1960s and 1970s. He was convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected of committing many more. Schaefer targeted young women and is known for his sadistic and brutal attacks. He also worked as a police officer, which gave him access to information about missing persons cases. He was eventually arrested, convicted, and sentenced to prison, where he was killed by another inmate. Schaefer's case is considered one of the most shocking and gruesome in Florida's history. Number 3. David Alan Gore. David Alan Gore was a notorious American serial killer. He was convicted of 6 murders in Florida and sentenced to death. Gore abducted, raped, and killed young women in a spree lasting several years. He was caught after one of his intended victims escaped and alerted the police. Gore's case received widespread media attention. He is widely regarded as one of the most notorious serial killers in Florida's history. Number 2. Ted Bundy. Theodore Robert Bundy was an American serial killer who kidnapped, raped, and murdered numerous young women and girls during the 1970s and possibly earlier. After more than a decade of denials, he confessed to 30 murders he committed in 7 states between 1974 and 1978. Bundy's true victim total is unknown, and is likely significantly higher. And our number 1 pick for top criminal from Florida is Danny Rolling. Danny Rolling, known as the Gainesville Ripper, was an American serial killer who murdered 5 students in Gainesville, Florida, over 4 days in late August 1990. Rolling later confessed to raping several of his victims, committing a triple homicide in his home city of Shreveport, Louisiana, and attempting to murder his father in May 1990. In total, Rolling confessed to killing 8 people. Rolling was sentenced to death for the 5 Gainesville murders in 1994. He was executed by lethal injection in 2006. And there you have it, our countdown of the top 10 most notorious criminals from Florida. From the depraved acts of serial killers to the daring crimes of gangsters, these individuals have left their mark on Florida's history. The stories of their crimes serve as a reminder of the evil that can exist within our world and the importance of bringing such individuals to justice. Well, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments what you thought, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this.